Hey guys, welcome back to more Entitled People stories. In this video, an insane Karen was never told no as a kid and as a result demands that I give her my entire house because she deserves it more than me. Let's dive right into the video. A few years back, my grandma passed away. We were pretty close, but I was still shocked when I heard that she left her house to me. I decided to immediately move in and make sure it looked like a place that she could be proud of. After a few years and some very extensive repairs and renovations, I thought I had done a pretty good job of fixing the place up without transforming it into something completely unrecognizable. Much to my surprise, that is where all the trouble began. Apparently getting the house in order sparked the envy of one particular neighbor who I had barely even spoken to. I don't think she was on friendly terms with my grandma, so we had never spoken when she was still alive and I was visiting. Then, once my grandma passed away, she showed no sign of wanting to meet me. When we saw each other on the street, I would wave and say hello, but she pointedly ignored me. You get the picture. At the time, I figured that she was just a little snooty. Maybe she thought she was better than my grandma. Maybe there was some bad blood from a petty argument they had decades ago. I don't know, but I thought it was just something to ignore and just live with. What a fool I was. One day, completely out of the blue, my neighbor swung by and asked when I was gonna give her my house. Just to keep things simple, let's call her Karen. And you heard me right. She asked when I was gonna give her my house. I was floored. I had absolutely no idea what she was talking about. I thought it must have been a clumsy attempt at a joke, maybe a compliment for how much prettier the house looked after the renovations, so I just awkwardly laughed. Oh boy, what a mistake that was. It was like I had thrown gasoline on the fire and she just instantly turned bright red. She started absolutely fuming and going on about how ungrateful I was for ignoring such a generous offer. And yeah guys, it seems like my cat is also absolutely fuming, not just about the generous offer, but also about being hungry. Anyway, then before I could even get a word in edgewise, she stormed off in a huff. Still a little stunned, I went about my daily routine and checked my mail. That is where I found the first clue for what the hell Karen was talking about. You see, since I fixed the house up, I had received a bunch of offers from realtors looking to buy. I ignored all of them because I had no interest in getting rid of my grandma's place, but now that I took a look, I realized that several of them seemed to be direct requests to buy on behalf of a client. I had a horrible premonition of who exactly might be behind those requests, and the fact that the offers were insultingly low just made me even more certain. That's right, now that I would put all that blood, sweat and money into renovating my house, Karen thought I should sell her the house, and she got offended when I did not immediately go along with her insane scheme. It's like she was never told no as a child or something. I'm not sure if this is when the rumors actually started or if she had been sowing the seeds long beforehand, but this is at least when I became aware that there were some very odd stories floating around the neighborhood. I could tell that people did not believe them outright because I was not getting dirty looks, but I did get a lot of confused glances when out on walks, as if people were trying to figure out if the stories Karen was spreading could really be true. Oh, and what impressive stories they were. Apparently my grandma and Karen had actually been best friends for years and years, though nobody had ever seen anyone to that effect. And apparently she had promised that Karen could have her house after she passed away. In fact, according to these rumors, my grandma had just asked me to tidy the place up before passing it on to her dear friend. If there had ever been any doubt in my mind, then chatting with a couple other neighbors cleared that right up. As I had suspected, there had been some real bad blood between my grandma and Karen. It had flared up into screaming matches a couple of times, though my neighbors were quick to reassure me that it was Karen doing all the screaming. It seems that she'd had her eye on this property for a long time. As to whether her plan was to move in, rent it out or sell it, I had honestly no idea. I heard all three theories from different neighbors and I honestly did not care which one it was. All I cared about was making sure she did not get rewarded for her tantrum nor her childish bullying tactics. Now, I need to specify that when I did some renovations, I mean, they were quite extensive. I don't want to speak ill of the property because it was my grandma's and she was certainly trying to maintain it, but as she got older, that became tougher and tougher, so when I say that things were in disrepair, I mean they were really in disrepair. Most of the inside was generally fine and quite cozy, but the exterior and the yard were another matter entirely. They looked rough, to put it lightly, and there was a fence around the backyard that had completely rotted through and fallen apart, so one of the first things I did was completely replace that. The new fence looked quite nice, if I do say so myself, and much of the neighborhood agreed, judging by how many compliments I got. Of course, if someone wanted to sabotage the renovations, then the easiest part to access would be the fence. After all, you don't even really need to step onto the property if you wanted to do some damage to it. And that's right, now that Karen's attempt to spread rumors was thwarted, she was reduced to petty vandalism. She broke down a couple sections and ruined the paint on most of what remained. I figured that she hired someone to do it for her because I really cannot imagine her doing a single moment of hard work herself. Now, at first, I genuinely had no idea what she was trying to accomplish beyond just throwing a tantrum. A few days later, I got my answer in the mail though. There were several new offers from realtors and they were lower than anything I had received earlier, citing visible damage that brought down the home's value. Once again, I was shocked. I just could not wrap my head around the logic at play here. Did she really think that I was going to roll over and sell this house for even less than before? Without hesitation, I went right over to her house, knocked loudly on the door, and waited a good 10 minutes for her to finally get around to answering me. And when she finally did come to the door, do you know what she said? Do you know what she had the audacity to say? She asked me if I was ready to give her the house yet. My jaw dropped. Nobody could be this clueless, and I couldn't help myself. I just had to know what makes her brain like that tick. So I asked her if she was a spoiled brat that had never grown up. Has she never been told no as a kid or something? And that's right, it was not just a turn of phrase earlier. I asked this woman to her face, but I promise that I didn't mean anything in particular by it. I was just being hyperbolic, so imagine my surprise when she scoffed and said, of course she was never told no as a child. Speechless, I was utterly speechless. Just like that, all the pieces fell into place. So I was not just dealing with an entitled neighbor, I was dealing with a woman that really was a spoiled brat who had never learned how to deal with people saying no to her. It was unthinkable that someone like that might exist in this day and age, but there you have it. She shut the door in my face, but that was fine by me. Even if I had 10 minutes to come up with a suitable reply, I don't think I could have. I went home trying to figure out exactly what I was supposed to do about all this nonsense. My first instinct was that I should just ignore Karen. After all, she was clearly out of her mind and nobody would ever side with her, so it was not like she was posing a serious threat to my ownership of the house. At the same time though, she had damaged my property, so if that escalated, then I could end up having to spend a lot of money on repairs. And let me tell you, after how much money I'd already sunk into the renovation, I was not excited by the prospect of spending even more, especially when it was so unnecessary. It turns out I did not have to wait all that long before making a decision because Karen went right ahead and made it for me. I received a letter in the mail and it seemed halfway authentic at first. When I opened it, I found a bizarre notice from an estate lawyer informing me that my house had actually been bequeathed to Karen, but the request had been misplaced when the will had been read and they had only just now discovered it. Again, I felt panicked for a moment, but then I took a deep breath and remembered just how much other nonsense I was dealing with. I checked out the law firm that had sent the letter and they seemed to be legit, so I gave them a call and asked them if they were so sure about this. Would you be surprised to hear that they had no idea what I was talking about? Yep, Karen went ahead and impersonated a law firm, copying some random template she found on the internet and forged a letter to make me give up my house. I don't know what she was hoping would happen, maybe that I would just turn over the deed and everything else without a single word of complaint. Surely she knew that if anyone took a single look at her lie, then it would all fall apart. Then again, she had never been told no as a child, so who knows really? I was done playing nice, so I went ahead and made sure everyone in the community knew what had happened. I showed the people the letter, I posted it on social media, I seriously did not hold back at all. At the same time, I think the law firm was also filing some charges against her, but I did not pry too much and they mostly kept it under wraps. I was utterly unsurprised when the community hopped on the chance to voice all their complaints about Karen that had been accumulating over the years. I knew that I could not possibly have been the first one that she crossed, but it was extremely validating to see just how many people came out in my support. At this point, I'm less sure that she was never told no, and more sure that she had never ever believed anyone when they told her no. After that, things were a lot smoother. Karen stopped bothering me as much, and as far as I can tell, she became a bit of a social pariah. She tried to complain to anyone that would listen about how I was lying and trying to ruin her reputation, but she learned pretty quickly that absolutely nobody was on her side. Some of the neighbors even pitched in to help rebuild the fence, so we made a few afternoons of it and enjoyed a barbecue. We even went so far as to make it a monthly event, so in a way I can really thank Karen for welcoming me into the community. And the next one is a story about an incredibly entitled person that you don't want to miss. What would you do if someone gave you a car for free? Well, in this story, OP bought his girlfriend a car and she said that it was his third and final strike. So for context, I come from a wealthy family. I now work in the family business, so technically I'm not spending mommy and daddy's money anymore. Been with my girlfriend for over a year and 5 months. She's the best thing in the world. Does not matter how bored, sad, lonely, upset or even happy I feel, she always makes it better. Now, I don't like to show that I have money because obviously that's not the best way to attract people who are actually interested in you and not just your money. So when I started dating my girlfriend, I did not spend a lot until I felt comfortable with her. That was 3 months in. I bought her a tablet that was somewhere between $600 and $700, I'm pretty sure, and she seemed okay with it. I don't like to think that I'm careless with how I spend, but I also know I'm probably not the most mindful person when it comes to my spending either. At 7 months in the relationship, I decided to buy my girlfriend a bracelet that I saw while looking for a birthday gift for my little brother. It was $6,000. I know, saying it out loud maybe does not sound like a good idea, but I've spent much more on some truly ridiculous stuff, but for my budget it really was not as bad as it sounds. She would not accept it and told me to return it. I kept telling her that it was fine, but she didn't want it. I told her to give it to her sister as a wedding present. She said no, and later she told me that me buying her that was a red flag. Around 8 months in, I realized I loved her, and she told me she loved me right around the same time. I took her on a "we are in love" date. I thought since she did not like the bracelet, I would keep things simple this time. No dinners at expensive restaurants, no gifts, no elaborate plans, just us eating food from a local place we both like, sitting by the mountain, one of her favorite spots. Everything went great and we left after a while. She told me in the car that though she had a good time, she expected something fancier. Noted. Well, 4 days ago she turned 25 and I bought her a car. At this point, we had been together 1 year and 5 months, are in love, talk about our future together, so I assumed it was okay to get her such a gift, but apparently not. She thanked me in the moment, but when we went back to her place, she told me that was my third and final strike. That she thought I would not do something like that again, only this time even worse. She said she does not know what I can do to fix things. We are not broken up, but are not talking to each other either. I guess the tablet was the first strike. When I buy these gifts, I make it clear I don't expect anything back, so she doesn't feel like she has to keep up, and I also never liked receiving gifts, and I told my parents to stop when I turned 10. She is important to me, and I guess I can be materialistic, but I like to buy nice stuff for people I care about. How do I fix things? And yeah guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think OP was the bad person here or not? I feel like there's just a lot of misunderstandings in this particular relationship, but I don't think that OP had any bad intent. Either way, let me know in the comments what you think. So update, yeah. So I asked her that we could just sit down and talk. She said she doesn't want expensive gifts for multiple reasons. She felt like she would be indebted to me, felt like a gold digger, and felt like she could never do anything like that for me. She said it would be okay if I occasionally brought her some chocolate or flowers, and I apologized and told her I enjoy making people happy, but I clearly was not accomplishing that by buying her stuff. I did not consider the person receiving the gifts. I also expressed that I didn't like having a strike system in place that I was unaware of. She said from now on she will just tell me when I do something that she has a problem with, and that it was unrealistic of her to expect only 3 issues through the course of an entire relationship. Someone commented that if after buying her those gifts did I hope if even a little she would be less likely to break up with me, and the truth is yes. But that's in everything I do. If it is making her breakfast in bed, coming over and doing all her housework, or just rubbing her back or scratching her hair, I want to be the best partner possible. I hope that every single thing I do makes her less likely to break up with me because I love her and I want to be with her forever. I also asked about the fancier date comment and she said that was her expectation. And by the way guys, is it just me or does this situation/relationship sound a little bit toxic? I could be wrong here, but something definitely does not seem right. Anyway, that she was not disappointed, but kind of saw it as an occasion where I could have splurged a tiny bit but didn't, but certainly didn't have to. She said we can find a medium, because she knows that she considers a lot and what I consider a lot is different. 6K for me and for her were very different, and the car for me and for her were very different too. Speaking of, I now more than ever acknowledge the difference between my upbringing and those around me. Because of the pandemic and as my family's wealth gets bigger, I realized how unaffected I was compared to everyone else, and I still want to do what I've always done. I say to my girlfriend that I'm interested in buying something for myself. She says I cannot spend 6 figures on something I was not thinking about an hour ago, and she is right. I don't need it, I want it. Being with someone from a different background has opened my eyes. I would have bought and already had it. She said I could do some good with my money, and my family is going to begin giving to people affected by the pandemic, but it's really just to make us look good. My dad did not just wake up and feel like helping people. She says do that if I want to spend. We gave her car to someone who lost their job, and it made her feel really good. And the next one is an Am I the A-hole story. So I, 28 female, single, don't have kids and I live alone. I also don't work overtime or do anything beyond my work, also I'm not in the US. First let me explain what my work is like. So we are an internal auditing company. I work in the logistics auditing division. What that means is that when a company hires us, mostly to see how good their policies are, we shadow their workers to see where efficiency can be increased. Sometimes that means working night shift, delivery, warehouse, manufacturing, etc. We are very lucky that we have an awesome manager and team leader. Once we divide the tasks, you can do them whenever, as long as your report is handed in when it should be. Work from home, from the office at 3 AM, less than 40 hours, it doesn't matter. For the 6 years I've been on this team, another female co-worker in her 30s has been doing her absolute best to work the least amount possible. First, she is either always pregnant and not able to shadow anyone but the office workers, or she is on maternity leave for months and on her yearly vacation a month, or conveniently sick when it's time for some heavy-duty work. She sends in a doctor's notice and we have unlimited PTO as long as you have a doctor's notice. And when she is in the office, she is dumping her work on others. She uses her kids as an excuse all the time. Well, usually the other team members pick up her slack. I refuse to do so, though. This time we are auditing a larger company, so all hands on deck. And for the first time ever, she is neither pregnant nor on maternity leave, and she just got back from her yearly leave. The company we are auditing is in another city, so the members who will have to go will be staying there for 3 weeks. This time it's my turn to stay in the office, well, my home to be honest, and to do data organization/analysis. She asked me to switch with her, and apparently she cannot leave her 5 kids alone with her husband. I said no, and then she tried to guilt trip me by saying that she would have to pay for childcare, which is more than what she would get paid for the whole month, and that I don't have any responsibilities like her. I told her, well, they are not my kids, so I don't see how that's my problem. Now she is pouting like a kid, and some co-workers are saying that I don't know how hard-working moms have it, that I should be more compassionate. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this one. Do you think OP is really the a-hole or not? Comment number 1 said, not the a-hole, don't back down. I used to work with a woman like this who would also try and get us to submit when we planned to take leave, just so she could see that she and her kids didn't want to take a trip during that time period. She was not a supervisor, by the way, and she treated anyone without children as if they had something wrong with them. My point being is everybody is in different circumstances, and people like her are given an inch and then take a mile, as the saying goes. Don't back down, and if she cannot accept that she also needs to do her fair share of the work and traveling if required, then she will need to accept that she needs to find another job. Best of luck. My problem ended up being made redundant after she got offside with everyone. Comment number 2, not the a-hole. It sounds like travel is an essential part of your job. If traveling is such a hardship for her with her kids, then she needs to find another job. Since that means she cannot meet the basic needs of her position. You didn't make the decision to have 5 children, nor did you make the decision to have a husband who cannot live up to the responsibility of a parent. Being single and childless myself, I'm tired of people like us being treated like our time and our lives are less valuable because we don't have kids. You should not have to shoulder extra work because another worker's home life. And before we end the video, we will read one last funny story from r/petty revenge. It is titled Revenge of a Brother-in-Law. So my brother-in-law is annoying and comes off at times as condescending, which I think is due to being insecure, so I hold my tongue often. A while back my wife and I visited her sister and him for a long weekend. While he was at work, he's a police officer, she complained about all these chores he has not done and kids' furniture and toys that were not assembled yet. My wife offered for me to take care of some of it, which I gladly jumped onto. The furniture and toys took me under an hour. I'm a woodworker that makes furniture, and of course I had to comment on his anemic collection of useless tools. After that, I went into their garage and broke down and tied up an almost packaged garage of cardboard boxes. I noticed some kitchen cabinet doors were misaligned, those got adjusted too, and for the icing on the cake, it snowed a few days prior to us arriving, and he neglected to shovel, so I shoveled, even cleaning up the hard-packed snow and ice in the driveway from him, driving over it for a few days. So for the rest of the weekend I was a rock star, and he had to hear it from his wife that everything he procrastinated on for months took me half a day. So yeah, I pick and choose my battles wisely with my brother-in-law, as we are both in it for the long term, so my strategy has always been subtle revenge. And yeah guys, thank you so much for watching, I will see you again tomorrow.